In lesser important news, forgotten actor Dean Cain has announced that he is joining ICE and becoming an officer of the Gestapo police force. Dean Cain was recently in headlines for his horrendous take on the new Superman movie, calling it, woke, leftist nonsense, typical stuff you want to hear out of Fox News. And it comes to a shock to no one who followed after that comment that he would do something like join ICE. I guess Dean Cain is in need of some funds because ICE is really handing out some really juicy signing bonuses. Or I think it's just also a matter of keeping his name in relevancy because Superman is relevant again. Not saying that Superman was ever irrelevant, but you know, with the movie coming out, the mass advertising campaign with David Cornsweet and the whole staff, James Gunn rebooting DC is on the rise again, and Dean Cain is trying to hitch its coattails. So let's hear from Mr. Dean Tanaka. Dean Tanaka is his birth name, as to why he wanted to join ICE.
Dean Cain has had a very full life and has plenty to do, I'm sure. Why would he be drawn to do the work of ICE? Let's ask him. Dean Cain, thank you for joining me, and thank you for wanting to raise awareness to help the country.
I'm honored to be here, Chris. It's great to finally get to talk to you, sort of face to face. It's a pleasure, and I'm glad to see you had Steve Moore on and Tom Homan and a wide range of people. So it's wonderful, and I look forward to this.
So, why ICE, and what do you want to do, and what do you want people to know?
I'm standing up for ICE, and the reason I'm going to join ICE and be an honorary ICE officer is because they're being vilified right now horribly. At the same time, like years ago when I joined the police force, I'm a sworn deputy sheriff in Frederick County, Virginia. I'm a reserve police officer in Pocatello, Idaho, because people were talking about defunding the police, which to me is insanity. Right now, people are doxing ICE agents. They're going after them.
So if I understand this correctly, Dean Cain signed on to be. Wait, let me run that back a little bit. I want to understand what he said. No, don't go full screen.
Frederick County, Virginia. Years ago, when I joined the police force, I'm a sworn deputy sheriff in Frederick County, Virginia. I'm a reserve police officer in Pocatello, Idaho, because
You're a sworn deputy sheriff in Virginia and a reserve cop in Idaho. And you joined because they were saying defund the police. I'm assuming you're not currently serving in those positions. And then now you're joining ICE. You just join clubs to show support for fascist institutions? Like, what's next? Dean Cain joins the Nationalist Socialist movement?
people were talking about defunding the police, which to me is insanity. Right now, people are.
If you wanted to actually support the police, wouldn't you have stayed as a police officer and done like a good job, or maybe advocated for, let's say you want to advocate for better community relations with the people that you're policing because you want to have, people stop committing crimes. Do something like that. I don't think symbolically joining organizations is going to fix anything, Mr. Cain. Except give you an opportunity to say, hey, look at me, I'm doing a good thing.
ICE agents, they're going after them, they're attacking them for doing the job that they're supposed to do, that they were hired to do, and people are just attacking them left and right. They're there to protect American.
Now, this is the funny part, because where they're going to put B-roll in between the two of them of ICE doing their job. Meanwhile, ICE officers, if you just take off the little vest that says police on it, doesn't even say U.S. police, doesn't say federal police, doesn't say anything on it, and you just leave them with the image of a masked person wearing a hat, grabbing brown people, that is what you're signing up for, Mr. Cain.
That's what I want to do, and I want to stand shoulder to shoulder with these ICE agents.
Like, look at the dude in the front. Look at this kid it's a kid. I could tell this is like a 22 to 25-year-old guy who is fresh out of dropping out of college, and because he has no other aspirations and ICE doesn't do background checks, here he is doing the dirty work of our wonderful administration.
And let people know these are wonderful, fantastic fantastic American people. They're mothers and fathers and sisters and brothers, and to attack them and or their families, and you mentioned it earlier, is absolutely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. There are often different ways to see things. I talk to Tom Homan often about the reach of the policy, and he gets to make his case about that he believes that the number reflects a very high threat threshold. I worry about overreach and the effect on economies and communities. But beating up on the people enforcing the law doesn't make sense. How do you separate your partisan feelings as a
And, Chris Cuomo's not doing any journalistic favors here by, because, he started off with correctly, we may see differently in terms of the implementation of, I guess, immigration enforcement, but you can't beat up ICE officers. No one's beating up ICE officers. No one's assaulting ICE officers. There have been let me amend that statement. There has not been the protesters are not beating up ICE officers. There have been isolated incidences of ICE agents, I believe, being attacked, being shot at. But those were not protesters. Those are not people who were engaging in their First Amendment rights. There is no need or no reason why ICE officers need to have their identities protected. Police officers don't have their identity protected. FBI agents don't have their identities protected. So why should ICE agents have their... I don't think Border Patrol agents have their identities protected either. So why do ICE agents get to have this blanket protection of identity? And we're going to keep coddling them as if they're not going into people's homes, people's legal appointments that they have to attend to maintain their legal immigration status. Like they're not waiting outside of courthouses to drag people and send them to countries in which they don't even belong to. That we're not going to sit here and act like ICE is not detaining actual American citizens. And Superman here, because that's exactly what Dean Cain is doing, and I think that should be the biggest takeaway, is Dean Cain knows what he's doing. He knows that people mainly know him as the guy that played Superman. So if they see Superman is okay with joining ICE, then the very few fans that he has in the right-wing hemisphere will go, well, I guess it's okay for me to go sign up and join ICE. Not saying that people would join ICE because of Superman, but that Superman is making it more cool to join ICE. Is making it more socially acceptable to join ICE because my superhero co-signed it. And we're gonna get into the actual origins as to what Superman stands for and all that other shit. I mean, most people know already: the truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Those are the big three. But we'll get into the nitty gritty later. I want to finish this.
Trump supporter with your patriotic feelings in this instance?
Well, it's the law. Congress makes immigration law, and ICE enforces that law. So if they want to change the law, change the law. Excuse me.
Yeah, notice how we just said some bullshit and then had to cough up because it's just get the fuck out of here.
You look at our immigration system. We
Cat got your
accept
tongue.
more than 1 million legal immigrants every year. That's more than the next 3 or 4 countries combined. America is hugely immigrant friendly, and we should be. Bring in immigrants, bring them in, vet them, have them come here.
Why is it? And that's my second question. For like in the 2-part question is, okay, if you want people to leave the country, why are we not seeing an increase in funding, increase in the process to become a legal immigrant in this country? Why are we not vetting more people to become legal citizens of this country, the ones that aren't committing crimes, even though majority of the people that we're deporting have no criminal record?
Here and have them assimilate. That's a wonderful part of America, and people want to be here because it is the land of the free and the home of the brave and the land of opportunity, and that's because of our Constitution. So these men and women who step up and do this, that gentleman there, those agents don't need to be doxxed for doing their job. They're not trying to be cruel to people. These are wonderful, wonderful people, but
they're not trying to be cruel. I will cut up at this point 2 articles, 3, however many I can find of ICE people dying in ICE custody, ICE being physically aggressive and using physical violence to detain people. We can definitely go over that as well.
being vilified and turned into these awful, people call them Gestapo and things like that, which is insane.
Brother, the first guy literally looks like a YN. The guy that just walks to the elevator.
People call him Gestapo and things like that.
He looked like he's going to class. He literally looks like a YN going to class. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? They're not Gestapo. You are hiring the YNs, and the YNs are doing the wrong thing. You should be fighting against niggas like this.
Which is insane.
Look, I understand your point, and of course you go case by case. You show me a case of them doing the wrong thing the wrong way, there you go. But to blame everybody is always a problem, and I've said many times the three dumbest words that have come out of a Democrat's mouth in the last 25 years is defund the police. That was as dumb a thing for their constituency as they could have said, and they're still living it down. What do you make of the reciprocal argument that the president has addressed, Dean, a couple of times? I think he's working through what to do on it, which is not all people who enter illegally are the same. Okay, you get your gangbangers, your drug pushers, your traffickers, your people who don't want to do it the right way, and then you have people who are just desperate and they thought this was the only way, and they come here and they do everything right. So the president gets outreach from farmers and large-scale employers and says, "You're killing us. I need these people. They're good people. They're part of our communities. They didn't come here the right way, but they've done everything the right way since they came the wrong way." He says,
by the way, that's majority of the people that are here. That's majority of the people that are being deported. So just because they're farmers who voted for Trump, the ones who work for those farmers are the good ones, because most of them are the good ones. I'll pull up again above my head crime statistics for undocumented immigrants versus U.S. citizens. I'll pull up tax contributions for undocumented immigrants versus U.S. citizens. Welfare recipients, undocumented immigrants, U.S. citizens.
We got to do something for them. He gets pushback, and it's gone quiet since then. Do you think that the president would be wrong to modify, to accommodate that not everyone who comes in the wrong way is the same?
Well, no, I don't think that's crazy, but I don't know if that's really the president's position. I don't know that he can do that. That's Congress, and Congress should get to work. If they put something together that made sense, I'm sure the president would sign it. President Trump he's a businessman. He wants this.
Businessman with 7 bankruptcies. All right, I don't really care about the rest of this, but just a reminder for Mr. Dean Cain. Dean Cain was born Dean George Tanaka in the year 1966. And I feel like his birth name and the year in which he was born is quite relevant, because if we remember, if Dean Cain was born about 20 years prior, a little more than 20 years prior, as Dean George Tanaka, he would be born on a Japanese internment camp. He would be in the 1940s equivalent of Alligator Alcatraz. He would be the one that he rounds up and arrests, and there will be a whole swath of people saying that it's legally justified to treat Dean Tanaka's family this way. It's funny how when you're on the other foot. But I'd also wanted to get into, because of his comments about Superman. Cain, who played Superman on TV between 1993 and 1997, made headlines last month after questioning in an interview with TMZ how woke James Gunn's new Superman would be, because the director describes the character as an immigrant. Superman has always stood for truth, justice, and the American way. No, he has not. He is not. It's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It's never been the American way. You added that yourself. And the American way is immigrant friendly, tremendously immigrant friendly, but there are rules. He said, quote, "I think that this was a mistake by James Gunn to say it's an immigrant thing, and I think it's going to hurt the numbers on the movie." Even though the movie is massively outpacing the other superhero movie that is out currently, Fantastic Four. And Warner Brothers has already declared this to be a financial success, which I don't believe they've done in the past however many movies they had under the DCEU. Also, going into Superman's origin stories. Everybody knows Superman is an immigrant from Krypton. And what were the rules to allow Superman to be Clark Kent and be allowed in the country and be able to fight and protect people. An influence on early Superman stories is the context of the Great Depression. Superman took on the role of social activist, fighting crooked businessmen, politicians, and demolishing run-down tenements. Comic scholar Roger Sabin sees this as a reflection of the liberal idealism of Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal, while Schuster and Siegel initially portraying Superman as a champion to a variety of social causes. In later radio programs, the character continued to take on such issues tackling a version of the Ku Klux Klan in 1946, as well as combating anti-Semitism and veteran discrimination. I don't think Superman would have joined ICE. Just saying. Hi. If you're still here, I appreciate you for sticking through to the end of the video. If you like, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe. But this is more so just a quick post-edit note that I wanted to throw in there as to explaining why I even made this kind of video. I believe that there is a intersectionality between politics and a lot of the things that we enjoy in our day-to-day life. And unfortunately, that turns off a lot of people because they hear politics and they kind of just run out the door screaming, or it just completely turns them away from the conversation altogether. I believe, well, first of all, my background, I got my degree in political science and philosophy. And I believe that politics, when used for good, can be a vessel for good. I believe politics allows us to have conversations about our common interests, even of our disagreements, and it helps us figure a common way forward. Even though what we see on the everyday news and social media is a lot of division, that's all by design. And I think that talking about things as a community that are generally upsetting, like seeing one of your, I mean, Dean Cain wasn't an idol to me. I don't give two shits about who Dean Cain is, but Superman is an iconic hero to many people, and to see someone who portrayed him in, fairly well compared to other portrayals, it's probably very disappointing to see Dean Cain go down this route. But nonetheless, I believe that it's important to talk about these things because there is a point between Dean Cain being Superman and him using his Superman image in a political way that's damaging to a lot of people, a lot of kids who are fans of Superman. So I think, especially, just another side note, in the nerd community, there's so much negative things that are politically influenced, like the bashing and hatred of women, the bashing and hatred of anything that is accepting of strange aspects of our society, like being, I'm not saying they're strange, I'm just saying they're portrayed as being strange, but people who are gay, people who are trans, people who live outside the lines of our standard definition of what society is, they're always casted out in the nerd society, when the nerd space should welcome them with open arms. And that's also what my channel and two channels, I have another channel as well, will be about. Will always be about highlighting how damaging shit like what Dean Cain is pulling is, and how uplifting other things that are beneficial to the nerd community and nerd spaces will be. So, yep, just wanted to throw in there and blab a little bit, but yeah, see y'all next time.